In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 9, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. SMU versus Oklahoma. It's a battle between a program from the Atlantic Coast Conference and one from the Big 12 as they tangle in the Sooner State, looking to remain unbeaten. The SMU Mustangs are on the road as they travel to take on the number 18 Oklahoma Sooners on Saturday evening. SMU cruised past Louisiana Tech 38-14 at home in their season opener last Saturday, covering the line as a 21-point favorite. Oklahoma, meanwhile, obliterated Arkansas State at home by a count of 73-0 to coast home, covering the 37-point line in the contest last Saturday. In the all-time series between the schools, Oklahoma holds a 5-1 advantage and has won the last 4 meetings. That includes a 24-10 home win in the most recent meeting on September 16, 1995. Don't ask for much defense in this contest, as we should be in for a shootout from the opening kick. Despite their 73-0 beatdown of Arkansas State last week, I'm still not convinced that this Oklahoma team is a legitimate contender in the Big 12. Dylan Gabriel and company did the exact same thing a season ago as massive favorites in non-conference play, before losses against Kansas State and TCU quickly flipped the fortunes of their season. Furthermore, that Kansas State game was the first time the Sooners' defense played a competent offense, and the results were less than ideal. I think the same could be true this week with SMU coming to Norman. Mustangs quarterback Preston Stone is going to be a nightmare for opposing defenses all season long. And that started against Louisiana Tech last week, where SMU raced out to a 31-0 lead at halftime before settling into cruise control in the second half while still covering the 3-touchdown spread. Thanks to nil contributions and some key additions in the transfer portal, the Mustangs' still position talent is elite by Group of 5 standards and would even contend with plenty of programs at the Power 5 level. I'm pretty confident in the Mustangs' ability to score on an Oklahoma defense that certainly has to prove that they've taken major strides forward before I'm willing to lay over 2 touchdowns with the Sooners against a quality opponent. Do not forget that Oklahoma had a losing record last year and ranked 121st in yards allowed per game. SMU will only need a few scores to win this bet if they are getting 16.5 points. SMU looked solid in their opener. Preston Stone looked like a capable new starter for this SMU attack. He threw for 248 yards with a 3-0 touchdown to interception ratio. SMU also has capable running backs who will move the chains and keep this Oklahoma defense on the field longer. Oklahoma is not the same juggernaut from the past, and SMU will prove that in this one. Oklahoma is likely to draw bets because of name recognition, and casual bettors will see the 73-point win and think this is a dominant team. This spread is far too high. This is a trap. I'm higher than the market on SMU and think the Mustangs should put up around 28-31 points here. Let's take the road team to cover this inflated number. So the SMU Mustangs to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. SMU stayed under the total in their season opening contest. The Mustangs combined with Louisiana Tech to score 52 points, falling well short of the 66.5-point number that was set at the books for the game. Going back to last season, 4 of SMU's last 5 games ended up short of the total. Oklahoma went over the total in their season opener, doing all the work themselves. The Sooners piled up 73 points to get past the number of 58, marking their 3rd straight over dating back to the end of last season. SMU is going to keep this game close, but it is unlikely the coaching staff will want to get in a shootout with Oklahoma to do so. SMU will use running backs L.J. Johnson and Jalen Knighton to move the chains and keep the clock moving. The faster the clock runs, the better chance SMU has to keep this game close, so the Mustangs will incorporate this into their game plan. Oklahoma scored big in the opener, but Arkansas State did not put up much of a fight. SMU has a better defense that will keep Oklahoma way under the 73 they scored last week. While the potential for big point totals is there, you'd be banking on Oklahoma to hang 40-plus points while giving up in the high 30s. That might be a bit too much to ask. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Oregon versus Texas Tech. Two big-name programs that had opposite performances in Week 1 meet when the number 13 Oregon Ducks travel to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Oregon destroyed Portland State out of the football championship subdivision, 81-7, easily covering the massive 48-point spread. Texas Tech was favored by 13 over Wyoming, but lost outright in double overtime 35-33 in a shocking upset. Oregon absolutely dominated in their first game of the season, but I am not sure how much it really helps to play a team like Portland State. On the flip side, Texas Tech opened up with what should have been a road win against a Mountain West school, but they fell apart after the first quarter. The Texas Tech Red Raiders had high hopes entering 2023 yet failed to secure a win in a 2-overtime thriller against Wyoming. To their credit, weird stuff happens in Laramie. The Red Raiders were in control to start, and the passing game led by quarterback Tyler Show looked solid. Show began his career with the Ducks before transferring to Texas Tech and looked good last week with 338 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's no shocker the defense appeared to have some growing pains after losing number 7 overall pick Tyree Wilson and their top 2 linebackers as well. On the bright side, the secondary is loaded with talent and will present quarterback Bo Nix and the high-powered Oregon offense a much harder challenge that football championship subdivision Portland State gave them a week ago. Despite the loss, Tech allowed just 4.4 yards per catch against the Cowboys. Nix and the Ducks offense famously made the Oregon mascot do hundreds of push-ups thanks to their 81 points last week, but I wouldn't exactly expect a repeat performance against the Red Raiders. The talent is there, but this is a tough environment for the Ducks in what is their first real test of the season considering last week was a cupcake matchup. Just like weird stuff happens in Laramie, weird stuff happens in Lubbock, especially at night. I could certainly see the Ducks walking away with a win here, but I don't think it will be by 7+ points. Give me the Red Raiders to keep things close enough. So the Texas Tech Red Raiders to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Ducks' ground game will dominate, but I'm not sure their defense will be able to slow down the Red Raiders' passing game. Oregon showed they have a slew of offensive weapons that can score in any game, not just against football championship subdivision schools. Texas Tech still finished with 33 in their loss to Wyoming. Texas Tech would be smart to focus on ways to keep up with the Ducks, as opposed to trying to stop them in a low-scoring game. Oregon will want to continue to climb the rankings as they are still chasing USC, Washington, and Utah in the polls. They will do this by scoring as many points as possible on the Red Raiders. The over is 7-3 in Texas Tech's last 10 games overall, and 3 of its previous 4 outings have seen more than 67 points on the scoreboard. 3 of Oregon's last 4 tilts have produced more than 67 points too, and the over is 6-4 in the Ducks' last 10 outings. When Vegas sets the total in the 30s, it is because neither team scores well. When it is 65 or above, it is because they expect a shootout. Do not be scared of this high number. It is high for a reason. Oregon and Texas Tech should provide a high-tempo, high-scoring affair. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Texas versus Alabama. It's just week 2 of the college football season and we have a mammoth game on tap when number 11 Texas visits number 3 Alabama on Saturday night. The Longhorns handled business against Rice 37-10 at home on Saturday. The Crimson Tide was business as usual against Middle Tennessee State, winning 56-7 on Saturday. The forecast calls for clear skies in Tuscaloosa. The Crimson Tide were almost robotic in their shutdown performance against Middle Tennessee and will look to expose Ewers and Texas as frauds for even entering the conversation of college football's elite. On offense, Alabama will score enough. It's a disciplined team, but that's hardly surprising given the accountability on the Alabama roster. This is a professional program brimming with players with realistic NFL aspirations. They understand if they're not accountable on every play, there's a guy behind them ready and able to take their job. The Tide committed 15 penalties against Texas last season, something Saban has likely reminded his players about more than once this week. Milroe's dual threat ability will be a factor on Saturday, forcing the Longhorns to take some of their attention off the Crimson Tide's other playmakers. That will prove deadly on several occasions, giving Alabama the cushion it needs. The Texas Longhorns have the talent to pull off an upset here, and they probably should have beaten the Tide last season when they lost by just 1 point. The difference here is the Alabama Crimson Tide are just too consistent to bet against, especially with a short line. This is the first time since that 2020 game against Georgia where Alabama has been a favorite of 7 or fewer points. This is just the 5th time since 2017 Alabama has been a favorite of 7 or fewer points. You usually have to lay a lot more chalk with the Tide. The Longhorns may be relevant again, but don't expect another close game between these teams in Tuscaloosa. The Alabama defense is going to give Texas a rude awakening. Sure, the Longhorns have star talent, but wait till you see what the locked-in Alabama defense does to them on Saturday. I'm taking advantage of this, so the Alabama Crimson Tide to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Crimson Tide will not allow the Longhorns to run and gun all game on their home turf, putting pressure on viewers to make quick decisions in the pocket. That will result in fewer points, as the Horns will need to work for every first down, hitting checkdowns and throwing the ball away in favor of taking sacks. The Alabama defensive line is stout enough to hold up against the run, and the secondary will be itching to cause the type of turnovers that strike fear in the Longhorns' hearts. Alabama was first in the Southeastern Conference in pass efficiency defense in 2022, but Kinstry will be sure to remind Worthy and Texas of that fact on Saturday. As well as Milroe played against Middle Tennessee, I don't expect him to dominate this game. The Horns held Rice to 27 rushing yards, and the Tide do not have a bona fide workhorse running back they can rely on. Milroe is going to have to be careful with the ball when dropping back to pass, and even more cautious when he's taking off to run with the football. Texas has playmakers at every level of its defense and won't struggle in pass coverage. There is no Jerry Jeudy or Devonta Smith on this Alabama team to account for. This will be a competitive enough game between two balanced teams. I don't anticipate either offense having their way with their opponent on Saturday. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.